Hey everybody, Mariner here, and welcome to Net That Haul and another matchup show where we're going to again dissect the numbers and matchups for game week 30. And as always, I've got two able and willing crew members with me. Chief Mate, FPLLens. How are you doing, Gabe?
Morning, bright and early. Doing great. Looking forward to the show. Mostly because we have a new crewmate.
Yes, and someone who likes the black stuff, as I understand, but different type of black stuff that you're on at the moment, Gabe. Not black coffee. I think I'm talking Guinness. Sean, how are you, mate?
For me today, I'm drinking water. Actually,
What?
Wow.
It's a drink of water. I'm trying to stay sober for this one.
Well, look, I'll tell you what.
I know everybody's going to be hugely disappointed here, but
I'll take one for the team then. Cheers.
we just lost half the people in the chat, I think.
No. I mean, I think this is the first time that you've been on the show officially as the fourth co-host of Net That Haul. So on behalf of us all, I just want to say welcome, and I'm really excited as to where this is going to go. So no, really happy to have you with us, mate.
well, thanks. It's great to join the team. I have to say,
yeah, it'll be good fun. It was great fun the other day. It was great fun the other morning. I think it went down very well. So anyway, let me just quickly let you know what we're doing today. We're going to go through the usual bits and bobs. We're going to go through the fixture difficulty. Gabe's got a different sort of matchup today, going back to his roots. We've got Hibbo and Chelsea, and we've got the usual stuff. So I think before we just dive into it, I think we'll just say, as always, if you like what you're seeing, make sure you do hit the subscribe button, hit the bell as well, so that you get notified for when we go, when we either go live or whether we drop some recorded content in the future. So, okay, let's dive in. And I think the important thing to say is, as I move to the screen and put things up on the screen, is that now we are also a pod. So we're also on, I think, was it Spotify, Buzzsprout? Is it Amazon as well? Did Nima get us on Amazon yesterday or today?
So yeah, Google
as well. Yeah. So if you want to catch this on there as well, you'll be able to. So consequently, we'll be a little bit more prescriptive about what we do. So first things first, let's get into the fixture difficulties, and that will be for me. And as you'll see, we've done something a little bit different, and I think this is partly due to the pod. And the idea now is what you're seeing on the screen is you're seeing a rank of which team has the best matchup rank for the next, in this case, number of weeks. So at the moment, what you're seeing on the screen, and I'll describe it for everybody, the top 5 with respect to attack, teams with best ranks for attack, are Manchester City, of course, hardly surprising, with a rating of 1.7. Remember, that's between 1 and 7. 1 being good, 7 being worse. Then Leicester, then West Ham, who are improving, then Chelsea, and then Brighton. So that's the top 5 teams with respect to attacking fixture difficulty. The bottom 5 are Palace, Newcastle, and this is counting up from the bottom. Palace, Newcastle, Villa, so 5.6 Palace, 5.0 Newcastle, 4.6 Villa, 4.5 that's Sheffield United 4th, and then Wolves. And notably, Manchester United are now 14th in respect to ranking for fixture difficulty for attack. They're down from 5th. That is a big drop. And also Villa, 18th from 11th. That is also a big drop. So first things first, guys, what do you think to the way we're doing it now? And, any comments on the attacking, basically the rankings for the attack and defense, or attack this time?
First of all, I think it's so much clearer. I love how it's laid out now. This is fantastic. The one thing that I have two comments. One, Manchester United being so low. I think we saw that coming a few weeks back, and then the metric has kind of caught up. I think that's one of the reasons actually why I mistakenly sold Bruno. Their attack didn't look very fluid. Bruno was getting a couple, maybe he'd get like a penalty or just something at the very end, and so we've seen that kind of decline for a little while. And then the other thing that I'll add here is if Callum Wilson's coming back, are we going to see Newcastle surge again? We've seen a little bit of everything from Newcastle. They've played really well. They've played amongst like the worst team in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes the team. What are your thoughts, Hibbo?
Yeah,
I think now if like looking at kind of more traditional kind of fixture tickers and looking at this more kind of nuanced one, like I think it's kind of spot on, because like you're looking at Leicester, they're going to come onto a nice run of games. Not this week because they've obviously got Man City, but maybe the next 4 afterwards, like they're particularly juicy. Man City seem to be up there based on form. Like how much width does the FDR give to say the blank in 33?
No, this doesn't cover that, mate. This is where it is at this moment. I don't think I made that clear. So that's where it is now. So it doesn't. Right. It's not thinking about. That's looking like on the basis of, if you recall on the past when we've done this, what I haven't done this time is I haven't shown the matrix. The where I was saying these are green and these are red. I've took that out. I've just turned these. Maybe I should have been a bit more clear myself. We've turned this into a little bit more of a, should we say, a league table rather than a matrix. And I think so this is basically where we are at this moment. So all our fixture difficulties, all our matchups, which I'm going to come on to these games in a moment, are all based on these tables. Right. So so I think that's where it is. So it's unsurprising that Crystal Palace are bottom. Unsurprising that Aston Villa have crashed to 18th either. I think that's the way I would put it.
Chelsea are kind of, they're high enough up there. I'm quite impressed with that.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. And defensively wise, let's talk about defense. And you mentioned Chelsea, Hibbo, but Chelsea are top. 1 out of a ranking of 1, which means that's very, very good. And also, they've been first for a while now as well. So that's another thing which is important to know. Brighton, second, 1.4. Manchester United, third, 2.2. Man City, 2.3. Spurs and West Ham, 2.7. That's the top 5 or 6.
I'd say if you keep going a little bit there, Fulham and West Brom.
Fulham 2.9. West Brom, 3. West Brom have a variance of 10. Now, that means that over the course of the season, if you looked at the whole season compared to the last 6, they have improved 10 slots.
Mm-hmm.
So they have improved a heck of a lot with respect to defence in the last 6 games. So that's, I think, and that's similar when I mentioned about Villa dropping. I think that's probably the Grealish factor with respect to the attack, right? And at the bottom,
so that variance column basically indicates form over the last 6.
Yeah, against the season.
This is fantastic, man. I love this layout. Is really, really, really intuitive, really good.
It really does need people to go to YouTube and actually have a look at it to try and explain it. I'm just going to surgically remove the cat off the desk as well, which is the next problem at the moment. He's been sat here all day, and as usual, things starting to go wrong. We're only 10 minutes in and things are going wrong already. Sheffield United, with respect to defence, obviously worse. They now rank 7. That is bad, right? That is proper bad. Wolves, second bottom now, 4.8. Newcastle, third bottom, 4.1. Everton and Liverpool, equal 4th worst with respect to defensive fixture difficulty, or defensive form, fixture difficulty. So, Leeds have improved. You say Leeds, compared to what they were, are a bit better. They're up 6 points. There's the cat coming again. Out of here. I think that's basically the fixture difficulty. I think what I would suggest people do is have a look onto YouTube to get some more information. Anything you want to add on the defense, guys, before I move over to the matches themselves for this week?
No, I'm happy enough. Sorry, go ahead,
Palace
Gabe.
seems high. Sorry, Palace seems a little higher than I would expect.
I mean, this is obviously based on things like, so it's based on shots in the box conceded, big chances, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
What this doesn't count headers. And I think if we thought about headers, then I think we know where Palace are going to be. Right?
So, I'm not sure we can take headers out of the game of football. I think we might have to keep them on.
Well,
that'll be an off-season discussion.
At the moment, it's down as shots. It's down as shots in the box. I've never had headers in this one yet. I suppose the chance of converting a header is a lot, probably less than the chance of converting a shot, perhaps. I don't know. Hey, Gabe, we can talk about this off camera, but it'd be worth considering it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, that depends. If it's Andy Carroll, then he might have a better chance with his head than his feet. But normally, yes, it's better to use your feet.
Yeah, very true, very true. And Tips is just mentioning now, Palace are bottom for headers conceded. Yeah, they're bright red on my Soucek watch. They're horrific. I think we might find that Palace get a bit of a mention later on. So, excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. Let's look at the next slide then. And now we're going to look at something slightly different. We're going to look at the actual games for next week, or for this week. And I'm going to very, very quickly rattle through 5, and then I'm going to let you just quickly comment, guys. So we start with Liverpool against Arsenal. So Liverpool attack 3.3, so they're 6 against the Arsenal defence 3.1, 10th. That's neutral in my opinion. Arsenal attack 3.4, they're 7th against Liverpool defence 4, they're 16th. So that's slightly positive for Arsenal attack. Now we talk about Villa and Fulham. Villa attack 4.6, they're 18th against Fulham defence 2.97. That's a poor attacking matchup for Villa. Fulham attack 4.3, 15th against Villa defence 3.2, 12th. It's also a poor attacking matchup. So maybe not. I don't know how many goals will be in that game. Chelsea attack 2.7. This is Chelsea against West Brom. Chelsea attack 2.7, 4th against West Brom defence 8th at 3. And West Brom attack 4.1, 13 against Chelsea defence 1. That's very tough going. So more neutral, interestingly neutral. Although I know we're going to talk a lot about Chelsea later on. But interestingly, the Chelsea attack against West Brom defence, according to these matchups, maybe is a little bit tighter. But very, very tough going for West Brom attack. Everton attack 4.1, 12th against Palace defence 3.2, 11th. Neutral. I've got to put a thing, barring headers. Palace attack 5.7, the last against Everton defence 4, 17th. Palace are struggling, and Everton are not that great either. And then the last fixture in this first lot, and again I've highlighted this one as well. Leeds attack 3.9, so not fantastic. 11th against Sheffield United defence 7. Last. That is the best attacking matchup of the week. And Sheffield United attack 4.5, 17th against Leeds defence 3.5, 13th. That's a poor matchup.
Now, one quick question, Mariner. Sorry to interrupt.
You're all right.
7 is the worst, right? That's the worst you can get is
correct. That's as bad as it gets. So even though Leeds are not actually that good, you imagine if it would be, a Manchester City playing Sheffield United. This would be a fixture difficulty of like nearly plus 6, wouldn't it? Something like that. They would have come to City in a moment, or plus 5. So that would be ridiculous, right? But that just shows that this Leeds Sheffield United matchup is a very, very good matchup indeed, even though Leeds are not great. Anything you want to add, Hibbo?
If I'm looking at I think the matchup's better for Leeds than maybe what the metrics kind of given it. In the last couple of games, they have had harder games. They played Chelsea, they played Fulham, who've been tighter. They played West Ham, who have been reasonably tight, although the last match against Arsenal was a bit of a goal fest. So I don't know, like you're looking at that fixture, Leeds against Sheffield United, and like it could be potential territory for a differential captain. For me, not that I'll go away from Kane, and I'm sure we'll talk about captaincy in greater depth at some point later on, but I do think the matchup's a wee bit better. Like I would kind of, if I had to pick a scoreline, maybe 3-1 Leeds.
Well, interesting enough, we have predicted the scores, but I haven't put them up here. If people want to go to the Compass show, which was on Tuesday night, where Hibbo and I recorded this, we actually used these. Nima, sorry. Nima and I, thanks for shouting that out. Nemo and I looked at those and predicted some scores. I think Nima went 3-1, and I thought it was going to be a blood and guts 4-2.
I see this game a little bit differently than everyone, actually.
Yeah.
Sheffield United coming out of just coming out of a very difficult time, losing their manager. I think we don't know this team, and when a team that's really struggling and almost to the point of embarrassment. I mean, I can't imagine how it feels for those players who did so well last season, right? When a new manager gets them and brings them out for the first time, they're going to be conservative and they're going to play within a shell. And I think they might be. I think Sheffield United is a team that right now we don't know who they are. We know they're not very good. Obviously, they haven't been this season, but we don't know how they're going to come out and how they're going to play. And they might just sit in a shell and make things difficult for Leeds. I think this could be a cagey one. It could be. I don't think Sheffield United is going to go for it. We'll see.
And again, a comment from Harry. Leeds have scored just one goal and conceded 8 to 5. I think at the back, it's probably systems this season. So I think I read that somewhere. I think maybe it was from Harry actually on Twitter earlier on. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel it's a local derby. It could be blood and guts. Sean, sorry.
Yeah, that stat was actually posted by a fella Corf FPL on. He's actually in that Telegram group that we're on. He posted that earlier in the week.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to the other side, the other 5 fixtures, and again we'll quickly rattle through them. So the first one, City against Leicester. City attack 1.7, their top, against Leicester defence 3.1, ninth. Leicester attack 1.9, second, against City defence 2.3, fourth. That's quite neutral. Here's an interesting one, guys. Manchester United attack 4.3, 14th, against Brighton defence 1.4, second. That is really poor with respect to statistics. Brighton attack 2.8, 5th, against Man U defence 2.2, third. That's pretty neutral. Slightly negative for Brighton attack. Now we move to the other big game for the week to consider, where we're probably looking for captaincies as well, and that's Newcastle against Spurs. Newcastle attack 5, 19th, without Callum Wilson. He apparently is not fit. Against Spurs defence 2.7, 5th. That's a poor matchup. Spurs attack 3.9, 10th, not tearing any trees up, not number-wise, against Newcastle defence 4.1, 18th. So that's neutral. So that's another interesting one. I dare say we'll come back to that in a minute. But let me just finish these last 2. Southampton against Burnley. This is a bit meh. Southampton attack 3.7, 8th, against Burnley defence 3.7, 14th, neutral. Burnley attack 3.7, 9th, against Southampton defence 3.9, 15th. That's also neutral. Goodness, no, that's not a game I'm going to be watching, I don't think. Southampton, it could be good. I suppose it could be goals. Wolves, and then finally, just the last game, Wolves attack 4.4, 16th, against West Ham defence 2.7, 6th. Positive for West Ham defence there. And West Ham attack 2.7, third, against Wolves defence 4.8, 19th. West Ham have a good matchup this week. That is what that tells me. Sean, come to you first this time. What's your perspective on the second five? Is he there?
Can you hear?
Hibbo? Can you hear me? Hibbo. We've lost him.
Did he lose
Gabe,
it?
do you want to come?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. Maybe shoot him a message on the side. There's something that I've been.
Oh, we're losing everybody.
Where's Gabriel away there?
I don't know. Well, you went.
I'm still here. Yeah.
You dropped off for a split
I'm here.
second. So let me just add people back in. Gabe, I think we're all back on now. I think we're having some technical difficulties. It might be this thunderstorm here, perhaps. I don't know. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear
right,
me?
All right. Apologies for the technical difficulties. It sounds like maybe as many technical difficulties as I'm having here with this thunderstorm, which is going on at the moment. So,
yeah. So yeah, I was just saying. I'll make it quick here. I'm seeing like opportunities because everyone's everyone's on Spurs and going with Kane captain. And I think managers got lucky with a rash tackle by Cash last game week. I think there's another opportunity here. Spurs attack really is that they're not firing on all cylinders, and then you have teams like West Ham that have a deceptively nice little matchup. So I think in terms of what this group of five shows me is that there are possibilities for nice little differential captains and to kind of go away from the most popular picks.
Yeah. Okay. Hibbo, I tried to come to you earlier, but I wasn't sure if you didn't hear us. Maybe the technical difficulties had started. I wasn't sure. Are you there? Can you hear us?
I'm back.
I think he's lost. I think we're losing him. Do you want to send him a message, Gabe?
Yeah, I'll send him a message. I think you know what it is.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
I can't hear you. Can you hear us?
You know what it is?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear. 2 seconds there, try something.
Anyway, sounds like we're having some technical difficulties. What we'll do, hopefully, he'll have it sorted by the time we get back to his section. Can you hear us, Hibbo?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't think you can hear us.
No, that seems to be better now. I've made a wee change here.
Right. Okay. So anyway, we've still got everybody here, so it's just a bit like
you know what the wee change was, right? It was he unmuted.
Maybe he's not listening to us. Maybe he's listening to another podcast at the same time or something like that.
I would never betray you like that.
We've had all sorts going on this week, mate. You're not having an argument with somebody from Surrey, are you, or anything like that? Just off camera.
No, we'll not say too much about that.
No, we won't. No, we won't. But look, let's try and refocus. Hibbo, just very quickly, Gabe's given his view on this. What do you think about the Man U Brighton and the Newcastle Spurs matchups particularly?
I think Man U Brighton, going through it quickly, I think it'll be tight enough for United. I think they'll win. I think they'll maybe win 1-0 if I'm being completely honest with you. Wolves against West Ham. I do like where your magic is going here. And like one thing I've noticed in the community this week is that I've noticed a lot of people in their teams that they're posting, they're talking about benching maybe Lingard or Antonio, which to me is just crazy stuff. Antonio could have absolutely filled his boots against Arsenal. He had the one where it came off the post, and it was harder to actually miss that than it was to score it. Looking at your matchup for Newcastle and Spurs, I think it's written Newcastle too highly. Like I sat down, such is the way, because I've got two daughters. I've got a daughter that's 1 and a daughter that's 2, so I always get to see the 7:30 match. And I sat down and watched Brighton against Newcastle, and Newcastle were just a complete and absolute disgrace, to be honest with you. They couldn't string a pass together. They couldn't get out of their half.
To be fair, about
so I think
19.
If they're conceding 11,
They can't get much worse, mates. They're 18th and 19th.
I know, well, no, fair. That probably is fair. But I think Spurs. I think in terms of the matchup, I think Spurs and attack are maybe a bit better. Like if I look at say the last 6 weeks for Spurs, I think 2 of the weeks they scored 4. They scored 4 against Burnley and 4 against Palace. So I think Spurs could do a job, and it's going to be probably my man, Hungman's son.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so, because I own him as well. I've been for once. I've been a little bit careful and held him for once. But anyway, there we go. All right. So look, let's move on to the next bit. Just a bit mindful of my time. Okay. My section's running over, so I'm just going to finish this off. And this, Hibbo, is the fixture difficulty for the next 3 game weeks. So this week and the next 2. And this now shows that if we're talking about the ranking all 3 as a difficulty, the teams with the best attacking matchups between 30 and 32 are, and in order, City, West Ham, Arsenal, Leicester, and Leeds. And the bottom 5, counting up attacking-wise, Palace, Newcastle, Man U, Everton, and Villa. Okay. And very quickly talking about defence, the best matchups for the next 3 games, Chelsea, Brighton, Spurs, Fulham, and Man U. And the bottom 5, counting up again, Sheffield United, hardly surprising, Palace, Newcastle, Wolves, and Leeds. Anything you want to comment on these 2 guys? I mean, again, I think it's important people do come to the YouTube channel and just come to this page and just probably pause it, because I think it's very clean. It's very easy to look at, but it's probably a little bit more difficult to explain. So what's your perception, Gabe?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the conversations, at least on Twitter, about getting rid of Manchester City assets. When according to the FDR here, they have the best attacking matchups over the next 3, right? They do.
The issue is, are we going to find a situation whereby, letting Hibbo back in again now, are we going to get to a situation where the best players for Manchester United are going to rest the easier fixtures and play the harder fixtures?
For Manchester City.
I mean, it must be this wine and this thunderstorm. You know what I mean, don't you? Are we going to see a situation whereby we're going to be playing players like Ferran Torres is going to get a game, and other players are going to rest in the games that we might want our City assets? Clearly, they've got brilliant matchups, but are we in a situation whereby we are, we're going to have them in our team, but they're just going to sit and rot on the bench, perhaps?
So I mean, there's I see that a little bit differently in terms of the rotation. I mean, because of the potential rotation, I think it's probably not the best idea to go on premium City assets like Kevin De Bruyne, for example. He's not really in my plans, even though I do expect him to play most games and I do expect him to do well. But if Gundogan, for example, he's in behind Kevin De Bruyne, and then he pops out like into the box as well. At 6 point whatever, he still provides great value, and you can have somebody, for example, a Brighton defender could be on the bench, Rudiger, Christensen could be on the bench. So if one of the Manchester City assets get rested, you have a quality a defender with good matchups. According to this, Chelsea's first, Brighton second, that to come off the bench. So I think there are ways to mitigate the rotation. But if you don't have the player, then it's like you are stepping in and saying, I will absolutely not have this player. If you're okay with the rotation, then you always have a chance of getting the best attacking team in the best attacking matchup. So I think give yourself a chance. That's what I'm doing. I'm keeping Gundogan and I'm keeping Stones.
Yeah, I think they're probably the 2 I may well keep as well. Hibbo, anything you'd like to add on the attacking side of the comparing to your fixture ticker perhaps within Hub? I think that might be quite an interesting way of looking to see where we are compared to them.
Well, I would just follow on from Gabriel's point there and Gundogan, and you're talking about over the international break. I think he started 3 matches for Germany, so you're looking maybe. I think Gundogan's very much part of Guardiola's number 1 team. He's starting main 11. I fancy he's going to play against Leicester, but with the Champions League, I do think there is going to be a bit of rotation in Leeds. As you says, I think he has maybe potentially may miss out in Leeds. But I think the way to mitigate that is, as Gabriel said, maybe not have the expensive options, but that maybe rules out a move for De Bruyne, because the last thing you want really is £11 million sitting on your bench. It's a lot easier to stomach if it's £6 million, I think, than it is if it's say 11. So
that's a very good point. That's a very good point. And regarding the fixture difficulties, mate, anything you wanted to add on that, or shall I move on to the defensive side?
No, so is this over the next 4? Is the attacking matchup?
30 to 32, mate. So next 3. Takes us to the next 3 game weeks. So obviously, I think Spurs have 4. Spurs have got 4 games among those as well. So it does account for all 4. So I mean,
no, I was going to comment on the defense, but I guess you're getting there.
Yeah, I was going to come to the defense in a second. Let me go to them now, and then you always come back in at the end, guys. Defense-wise, at the very top, hardly surprising, Chelsea. Brighton, even though interestingly, Brighton are second. Even I'm contemplating selling Dunk at the moment. Then I looked at this and thought, crikey, Brighton's numbers are great, but are they really going to do well against Man United and Chelsea? This is where we can challenge the statistics, right? It's not all about numbers. Well, at the end of the day, I'm a numbers man, but even I am looking at these and going, I'm not quite sure. Spurs 3rd, Fulham 4th, Man United 5th, Man City 6th. Okay, that's defensively at the top. At the bottom, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Wolves, Leeds, and West Brom. Leeds now starting to get some quite difficult games going forward. And I think if I can just move on very quickly onto these next couple of slides, and this is where it becomes interesting. We talk about fixture swings. There's been a big discussion on fixture swings in the last few days about teams and we've all been talking about it, about which teams we're going to target, the Arsenals, the Wolves of this world, this, that, and the other. But here, this slide, and again, please do go to YouTube and check it out, but this shows teams who fixture difficulty ranking improves, okay, over from, as we talk about further out into the distance in the future. And West Brom's attacking variants become easier. +6, they go up 6 ranking points. Brighton up 6, Manchester United up 5, Spurs up 4, Leicester up 3, Southampton up 2. They're the teams who, by my fixture difficulty, look like they're going to go into an easier run of fixtures. On the other hand, at the bottom, standing out like a sore thumb, are Leeds. They drop off a cliff and drop 11 ranking points. Wolves next, 4. So Wolves, if you're talking about Wolves, I think it's maybe short term talking about Wolves, and then it sounds like they're going to run into more difficulties again. Fulham, Burnley, Everton. But Leeds, guys, I mean, are we going to go from captaining them to chucking them on the bench or even selling them? What's your perspective, Hibbo?
Well, looking at the fixtures themselves, they have Sheffield United obviously coming up this game week, but then they have 3 matches in the bounce, which really don't appeal. The Man City away, right. Liverpool at home, Man United at home. But then the fixtures pick up. You're talking Brighton away, Spurs at home, Burnley away, Southampton away, and West Brom away. So the way I see it is, people that are going to play a wild card in 31, they're probably going to move away from Leeds. I would say people that are planning with transfers without wild cards, they might look at maybe having a more attacking front 8 and kind of bench them. Like I have Dallas, he's benchable. I would bench one of Bamford and Rafinha, depending on form, if I'm being completely honest with you, because I have all 3. I don't really have any plans to sell at the minute, because I'm kind of just looking at this week thinking, I'm hoping they just score me 30 points between the three of them.
But we can put up. Might be a few more if you captain one of them as well. But I think the perspective. I mean, I don't think we need to be a rocket scientist to realise that Manchester City, Liverpool, Man United, and Spurs are not necessarily going to be that great. Maybe Liverpool will be. Who knows? But I think my own perspective here is that I think I may well sell. It could be Bamford. I think might be the one who I'll sell. Being honest with you, because I've just got a feeling that Rafinha's that nice price just hold for me. I don't own Dallas, by the way. Moving on to the defensive fixture swings, the teams which swing most positive for defence are Leicester, Arsenal, West Brom, Manchester City, and Wolves. And at the bottom, counting back up, who get worse: Fulham, Everton, Southampton, Spurs, and Leeds. So even Leeds, so the Leeds drop a tiny bit. But I think it's quite interesting that, you know, Wolves are improving a bit on defence, but not a lot. You know, they get slightly better. But there's a lot of talk about, you know, I'm going to jump on, you know, I've seen it a couple of times, players like Sice and players like that. I'm not sure on Wolves at all. I think if I was, I really think I might just steer completely clear of them, not have any. Gabe, what's your perspective?
Yeah, I agree. And actually, in the FDR for attack, Wolves were quite low. And if you look at Wolves' fixtures, right, that they're quite low there in the attack from the -4. Yeah. But if you were to go to the official FDR, right, it would be a sea of green other than West Ham in the official one. So it looks good, but given Wolves' form, I think when you take the team form into account, like you do in your metrics here, it doesn't look very good. I think Wolves are a little bit of a trap. Especially, I mean, obviously, I think West Ham will score. I think Fulham could score on Wolves. Sheffield United, like I said, I don't think we know who they are. So I agree with you. Wolves are a trap. Could be a trap. Wolves could be a trap.
All right then. So so that's the fixture difficulty. It took us a little bit longer. I think we were explaining a few things, and we also had some technical difficulties, which probably took up a couple of minutes of it. But anyway, let's keep going. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at Gabe, and I think you've got something a little bit different for us this week, mate. You're going back to your roots.
Indeed.
Now, what I'll do you want to share your screen? You need to share your screen. Just whilst we're messing around, I'm just going to do this. Just bear with me. Now we're getting Gabe's information up on the screen, which we're sack the producer. Here we go. I think is this it? Right. So right, let me just. You ready? Add to stream. There we go, Gabe. So over to you, mate.
Okay.
Please give us your going back to your coaching roots. I think is how we would describe this
coaching
week's
roots. When I had, you know, you're out there on the field coaching and you have no access to stats, to metrics, to anything. All you have is the eye test. So this is one for the purists out there, the eye test junkies. And I've this week I've gone over three players that have become quite popular given their recent production. That's Iheanacho, Lucas Moura, and Kai Havertz. And I've gone through, well, for Iheanacho, I went through his last three matches, and identified certain, like, when chances were created or certain plays that I see kind of patterns in. So I'll go through them each here, and I'll try to explain them as prescriptively as possible, as you mentioned, for the benefit of the listeners of the podcast. So the first match here is, pardon me, it's Leicester City against Burnley. This was a few weeks ago. And the first one here, we see Castagna on the left-hand side driving the ball up, and Iheanacho and Vardy kind of together against the three Burnley the three Burnley defenders there with Ben Mee in the middle, Tarkowski on the right. Now, what I notice here is Vardy has Ben Mee's attention, and there could be a gap for Iheanacho, but this is when they kind of first started playing together in top two. And what happens is Vardy goes in towards Ben Mee instead of taking Ben Mee out of the picture. So that closes down the space. He closes down Iheanacho's potential running lane. So when Vardy moves towards Ben Mee, he's moving closer to Iheanacho, and Castagne then is forced to send a deep cross. Instead of crossing to Vardy or Iheanacho, he has to cross to Chowdhury, who's coming in on the far side, who predictably doesn't do well with that shot. So that was the first play. There was just a lack of understanding between Iheanacho and Vardy. Now hold on. So I'll take a look. That was in the 12th minute, 13th minute here. So 20 minutes later, there's another opportunity. Prior to this opportunity, Ndidi had sent a long ball to Iheanacho, who really he took it down well, but didn't do well with the shot. But it showed something that they were trying to do in the Ndidi from deep to Iheanacho. That's really hard to say for some reason. But here we have Ndidi deep again. Say that 3 times fast, Ndidi deep. And now Vardy, instead of looking for space for himself like he did in the previous play, Vardy is going to pull Tarkowski out of the lineup by moving towards the ball in between the two midfielders. So Vardy stands in the passing lane, and Iheanacho sees that movement right away. You can actually, in the image here, so just for the benefit of the podcast listeners, as Vardy is stepping, Iheanacho's arms swing one way, which indicates that he's about to generate momentum to move the other way. It's just the mechanics of running, but these are tells, right? So you can see that there's already an understanding starting to develop here. As Vardy steps into that hole, we see there's a blue rectangle there where the space opens up, and now Iheanacho really takes off and kind of catches Ben Mee by surprise, which I was surprised by, because Ben Mee he's a good defender, and I'm surprised he didn't read this movement. Perhaps because it failed the previous time that they didn't get their movement coordinated well. That Ben Mee thought maybe they would fail again, but that was not the case. You see in this one, Vardy attracts Tarkowski, pulls him out of the back line, and gets the two center mids to collapse, and gets the right mid. I think it's who's the right mid for Burnley? Is it McNeil? Maybe. I don't remember right now, but he even pinches in the whole right. Well, the whole left attacking side for Leicester really opens up here, and Ndidi recognizes all that movement and sends the ball in right at the perfect timing. And then there's Iheanacho with a really nice first time finish. I think maybe a little bit early for Pope to come out there. Made it a little bit easier than he should have, especially given that the two defenders are roughly in the area, and knowing who the striker is, Iheanacho, who has struggled with finishing in the past. So what I like about this sequence is that there were two failed plays previously, one where Vardy ran into Iheanacho's space, and one where Ndidi popped the ball over the top, where Iheanacho missed the shot. So both those plays got resolved with this play. The ball over the top worked out, and the movement into space for Vardy also worked out. So good, promising early signs for the Iheanacho-Vardy partnership there. Here's the next play. This is on a counter attack. Iheanacho gets the ball kind of in the middle of the field, and he drives past one defender, and he has a perfect opportunity. We can see that the ball is actually perfectly placed on his right foot for him to play it to the left side to Castagne, who's about to run into the box. Now, on this one, Iheanacho's really not comfortable with his right foot, so he doesn't play this ball. But he could he also, I think he fails to use the line of the box as an offside marker. You can see the defender is kind of lined up right on that line, and Castagne hasn't crossed that line yet. So you have to use those visual markers. This ball is a perfect opportunity for Castagne. Iheanacho kind of bungles his right foot, takes his time, and then has to play it to Tielemans, who's making the run on the right side, a deep run from the right side. And Tielemans makes gets a good shot off, but by the time he's on the ball and the defenders shift, his angle isn't what we'd like it to be. So decision making, maybe like a little negative on the decision making for Iheanacho in this play. So, whoops, we move on. Whoops. Sorry, it should not be. Oh, my bad. Okay, moving on. So that's it for this game. I'm going to open up the next game here. Dogs. Those are my two dogs. They both passed away years ago. So here's the first play in the Brighton game, the Brighton Leicester game. I love this play because it's such a great team play. Soyuncu comes in and pokes the ball away. Castagne recovers the ball, and as soon as that happened, look at what we have here is we have a view from Brighton's goal, and we have Vardy on the right side of the box being softly marked by Ben White. As soon as Castagne wins the ball kind of towards the middle of the field, Vardy takes off. He goes, instead of running towards the box, which is where we would expect him to run, Vardy knows he has Iheanacho on the inside there, and he goes off towards the sideline, pulling Ben White. That you can see the lane that's about to open up here for Leicester. Oops. There we go. There's the lane. Just an enormous gap. Dunk is there screaming at Bissouma. What I like about Iheanacho is that he actually steps up towards the ball, which is away from the goal, and slides in behind Bissouma's right shoulder. The advantage to this is that as the ball comes through, if Bissouma realizes that what's going on, Iheanacho can step between the ball and Bissouma. All the meanwhile, Dunk is yelling at Bissouma that he's got someone on his right shoulder, but by that time it's too late because Castagne put that ball in nice and early. So again, we're Vardy opening up space for Iheanacho. Now we're if twice is a pattern, we're starting to see a pattern in Leicester's movement here. Iheanacho plays the ball through, Castagne plays the ball through. Iheanacho so in this shot, Iheanacho has already taken a touch. But we see the touch. So I'm showing arrows here. There are two red arrows which show where his plant foot is pointing and the trajectory of the ball. You'll have to trust me on this. It's obviously better in the video. Both of those arrows are for the benefit of our podcast listeners here. Both those arrows are pointing kind of towards the end line, and they're not angled towards the goal. And I've indicated the proper angle the foot should be pointing, and the proper angle the ball should be traveling in the blue arrows here. So the foot should be pointing kind of towards that near post, and the ball should be kind of like running a similar track. That'll allow kind of as the ball rolls, it'll separate from the plant foot, and it'll allow a shot to the far post. But the way he's set up here, the only thing that can happen is a shot to the near post. And again, predictably, that shot goes into the side netting. So Iheanacho's finishing woes are starting to show. I think in this clip, because he created these angles with his touch. Here's the and that ball goes into the side netting. Here's another play. This is a similar situation. Vardy pulling Ben White out of the space by moving over to Leicester's left-hand side, which is Brighton's right-hand side, and in doing so, creating a big lane for Iheanacho. This time, Tielemans has the ball, kind of between the center circle and the top of the D of the box, and Vardy is running across Ben White to pull him out of the way. What I like here is if you notice Iheanacho's body position, Iheanacho is already making the run while Dunk is recovering. This is the moment where he's going on, and he's just about to change kind of the way his body is, but Iheanacho's already about to make that run, so it's too late for Dunk. I like that early recognition from Iheanacho. It's what he does afterwards that I have problems with. We go to the next slide here. Iheanacho's first touch in the box takes him well inside, and he almost misses this. He gets a little bit lucky because his bad first touch actually moves Sanchez, and Sanchez, if you watch it in the video, Sanchez moves towards the middle of his goal because he thinks that's the way Iheanacho's going. Then Iheanacho pops it near post. that when you watch that play, it's very jerky and it's very reactive. That it's not a play that you think, oh, Iheanacho took that heavy touch on purpose to open up that near post. That was not by design, and then I think Iheanacho got a little bit lucky with this goal. He did end up scoring though, so power to him and to FPL managers if they have him. Nope. I'll bring up the next game here.
It looks lovely. Where is that beach, Gabe?
So this beach, this is when I first moved to California, and this is Newport Beach. And the dark one, so these dogs were twins. The dark one is his name was Reef, and the light one, her name was Roxy, and the beach was their favorite place in the world.
Looks a lot nicer than Cleethorpes Beach.
All right, this was the goal fest against Sheffield United. Just had to throw Iheanacho's first goal in there. I mean, poor Brian Keane, he was marking Iheanacho, and then he started like we have this saying in Venezuela, and when you're coaching kids, they have this thing that they do, and especially younger kids, they go and they're hunting butterflies. So you see them on the field and they're like spinning around and stuff, like looking for butterflies or something. And that's what Brian Keane was doing here, unfortunately. He just starts drifting towards that near post, and it just makes an easy goal for Iheanacho. Nice tap-in goals. He shouldn't be missing this. So kind of credit to the build-up, but that's an easy tap-in. Here's something that I really like about Iheanacho's finishing. This was his second goal. It was a hard cross from the left. I believe it was from Castañas. Don't remember though. And Iheanacho does not swing at the ball. He just kind of like punches it in. And what he's doing is, as he's running, it's almost like you don't change the stride of your run. And in the step of that run, you push the ball through, and that keeps it low and keeps it straight. And it gives Ramsdale no chance, because when you do that, the ball really launches off of your foot because you're hitting it first time. So I give credit for his finishing technique here. I think that's really well done, and his finishing is something that he struggled with in the past. So I think we're seeing some development on this front. Now this one, Iheanacho is setting up a shot. This is for that kind of like the hard low shot. His third goal in this match, the hard low shot to the near post. Again, I give him credit for the quality of the shot, but if we look at Ramsdale, Iheanacho's body he's about to poke the ball forward so he can hit it. I think anybody that plays the game can read the visual cues. Apparently, except for Ramsdale, because Ramsdale is he's rooted to the spot, and he's actually, if you open up the frame, he's more to the right of this than he is to the left. When he's opening this up, Ramsdale has to shift and close that down at least a little bit. He can't stay there. And then you have Keane, the defender there. It's not great body position for a defender, if I'm being honest. If you're approaching kind of like shoulders up, you're like, oh god, here we go again. I think Keane is a little bit shell shocked at this point. Power to Iheanacho for a good shot, but this was really a lot easier than it should have been.
There's the dogs again.
There's the dogs again. Moving on to Lucas Moura. Here's where so in the first match, in the North London derby, I watched the extended highlights 3 times, and I could not pull one highlight for Lucas Moura. So almost a throwaway like that. I would say that's a bad sign, right? When you're looking to scout a player and you watch an entire game in a derby, an important game, the player should stand out when you're scouting him. Lucas Moura did not stand out in that game. So already a bit of a red flag. But against Villa, I think we saw a little bit of the best, like, of his potential. And I believe the reason is because played with Gio Lo Celso, Højbjerg, and Tanguy Ndombele behind him, or kind of not even behind him, I would say around him, because Lucas Moura had freedom to roam around that midfield, and whatever space he would vacate, one of those three center mids would then fill that space. And I think that's when Lucas Moura is at his best. He can roam the field and really look for the ball. We see here this ball has recently been cleared by Emi Martinez, and who is that on the right side? I believe it is. Was that Cash? Maybe, I think it's Cash on the right side. He has the inside track and the lead on the ball, but Lucas Moura goes right past him and he wins this ball instead. That's when watching Lucas Moura is fun, right? He gets to that ball first, breaks that line of pressure. You see there's a red line there joining Cash to the midfield, kind of on a diagonal. Lucas Moura breaks through that line of pressure and gives the ball to Kane. And we see where the space is opening up. This is all from the left flank for those the podcast listeners. And we see the left flank open up. We know what Kane's going to do. Kane's going to give that ball right back to Lucas Moura. He's such a great target man, and he does find the quick outlets. There it is. Lucas Moura just burns past all of the Villa defenders there. He's in space, and then he's smartly he's being closed down. I believe it's Tyrone Mings that's closing him down at this point, and he smartly squares the ball to Vinicius for his first Premier League goal. This is Lucas Moura at his best, driving ball through lines of pressure, playing quick passes with target men, and either taking a shot or laying it off for others himself. Oh, and we're back to there. But that's it. That's the one play I got on Lucas Moura. So he has that potential, right? But it's so few and far between. And Spurs are just such a I can't think of a kind word, so I'll just say they're difficult. They're a difficult one to watch, and not one. And I don't think that it's one we can trust.
Okay, thanks, man. So I think it's very different to what you normally do. So I think it is one of those ones which
I do have the Chelsea ones. I have to go to the Chelsea ones before I go to Hibbo.
Oh shit! Have I just have I chucked you off early?
do your Chelsea, but.
Hang on a minute. There we go. Right, go. Sorry,
there we
buddy.
go. Just really quickly.
It's because you were back on the beach again. You see, I thought you were done.
Oh man, I wish. Maybe after the show. So the Chelsea one. This is Kai Havertz, and I wanted to talk about this one because I know Hibbo also wrote about Chelsea and made perhaps a way to break that template. Really quickly here, we have Alonso about to cross the ball, and the reason I put this slide up there is because Kai Havertz he's not going towards the ball. A lot of attackers sometimes go towards the ball too soon, and they close down their own space. And we'll see in a moment that Havertz is actually guilty of this as well. So we have Kai here, kind of around the penalty spot. He stays around that spot until the ball is hit. Alonso hits the ball here. There's a nice passing lane right to that spot. Havertz is sitting right between the defenders. And I love the finish here. This play is reminiscent of Havertz at Leverkusen late last season, filling in for Huller and the injured boys there. And it's just a little tap with the inside of his boot, going far post. Does get a deflection, but it was going in anyway, so not an own goal. Good play and promising signs for Havertz.
No, I think that was given as an OG, I think.
Was it?
It was a fantasy assist for Havertz, I think. I think in this game he has 2 fantasy assists because he gets fouled for the pen, doesn't he?
Yeah. And then that's a shame. That ball was really close. I thought it was going towards the post. I thought the goal was given. But he has that ability, that one-touch ability that maybe Timo Werner doesn't have. So we could maybe expect to see him, playing that false 9 more. Here's a play again. Havertz checks really smartly from the false 9 position. Look how deep he's quite deep in midfield. He's around. So Jorginho has the ball pretty much on the center line, and Havertz comes in around the top of the circle there in the attacking half. and he sits in between the three defenders. Everyone's in pretty good space. It's not tight spaces here. If Jorginho plays Havertz's left foot, they beat 3 players with 1 pass. Unfortunately, Jorginho puts it on his right foot and keeps swinging the ball, and he goes to Reece James, and the play kind of falls apart there. But this is good movement by Havertz and good recognition of space and behind him as well. Unfortunately, Jorginho was not on the same page there. In this play, next play, this is where things start to fall apart a little bit for Havertz. Havertz comes in and checks a little, kind of like too close to who is that there? I don't remember who the player that has the ball is, but he checks in too close. And what he does, once he's in tight space, I've found that Havertz has trouble. Every time there's tight space, he's phenomenal in intermediate space and then he can create and kind of hold those passing lanes. But once the space gets tight, and in this one, Havertz actually closes down that space himself, which is unfortunate. Once he sees he's not going to get the ball there because, well, there's no point. He's not facing the goal and there's no space for him to maneuver. He then turns towards Alonso. So like towards the outside where Alonso's coming in from that outside. And then so he takes both of those players. He takes himself and Alonso out of the picture here. If he turns the other way, Ziyech is at the top of the D. If he turns the other way and makes a run behind Ziyech, Ziyech can then make that run kind of where in the space where he's vacating. And then the play could develop much better. So Kai Havertz is his awareness and spatial recognition in tight areas, I believe, is a concern. Here's another example of Havertz in intermediate areas. He gets the lane on the defender. He gets the lane both on the ball, and he gets the lane on the goal. And we know he's going to go up one-on-one against the goalkeeper. Knowing that the goalkeeper is Pickford, this is really predictable what's going to happen here. And I believe in this moment where he's still outside the box, the ball is still in the air, I think Havertz knows he's going to get a penalty right here. Sure enough, there's Pickford in the pink. Quick touch outside by Havertz, and Pickford takes him out. And there's that second fantasy assist that Hibbo was talking about here. All right, and I think just one more, last one here against Leeds. Again, in intermediate space, Ziyech playing the ball from deep. Havertz sees the lane against Leeds here from the top of the box, and that leads him into the box. Unfortunately, the way this play ends, his approach to the ball is not very good. The space closed down quite quickly, and the shot is not what he'd hoped. But keeping the space in the intermediate passing game is a specialty of Havertz.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So it's nice to finish on Havertz because I think what we're going to do now is I've already given people a sneak peek about 5 minutes ago when I jumped off the screen early, but we're going to go across to Hibbo now because I think, mate, you've got some analysis on Chelsea for us, haven't you? So let's have a look at that. And there you go. You're on TV now. Look with that picture. It's quite
beautiful. It's about FPL doodles.
Yeah. All right, mate. So I'll put the first slide on for you.
Yeah, that's grand. And then whenever I want you to move on from slide to slide,
just give me a shout. I'll move it on. Yeah,
I'll give you a shout. Okay, so I read an article for Fantasy Football Hub, and it's entitled "Breaking the Template." So the focus this week was on Chelsea, and now specifically the reason for Chelsea was if you look at the fixture ticker here on the screen, and this is the Hub's ticker, they rank top now over the next 5, and they have some juicy fixtures. So you're talking West Brom, Crystal Palace, Brighton at home, West Ham away, and Fulham at home. Now, I think the appeal here is these fixtures are great, and these fixtures are great in the very short term. So if you think about West Brom in terms of a punt, but I also think for those that have their wild card sitting at the minute, punting on the right Chelsea players isn't going to pack Comanche to a game week 31 wild card. So like the like of yourself, I think, Marner, you're sitting on a wild card for 31.
I've used mine.
You've used yours.
I'll tell you who it is. It'll be Surya.
Right.
Yeah, Surya.
Okay. So I think it's a case of if you do move for Chelsea players, you're not going to be committed onto that wildcard necessarily in game week 31, because I know there's going to be some developments. We're waiting to see when double game weeks and stuff are going to be fitted on the rest of the season, and that could happen further down the line. So in terms of Chelsea, looking at Chelsea, the arrival of Tuchel, he took over for the game week 20 fixture at home against Wolves, and his number one priority really was to tighten up the defence. So if you just want to move the next slide there for me, Mariner, please.
Hold on a second. Right, let me just... there we go.
So on this slide, we can see that Chelsea, in terms of their underlying numbers, they basically have ranked since Tuchel took over as one of the best defences in the league. So they've conceded the least shots. They've conceded the least shots in the box. They've conceded the least shots on target. They've shipped the least big chances. They've shipped the least goals, and they've achieved the most clean sheets. Now, it's particularly noteworthy that in the last 10 games, they've conceded 2 goals and they've kept 8 clean sheets. Now, I joked on the Q&A session on Sunday night that I don't own a Chelsea defender. I don't think you guys own Chelsea defenders. I think it is the case that Chelsea have been slept on a bit, and I think it has been the case that since mid-season, we've been basically zigzagging between blank game weeks and double game weeks. So our focus has always been on how are we going to navigate this blank, how are we going to navigate this double. And in the meantime, since game week 20, Chelsea's defence has been like a brick wall. They've been keeping clean sheets for fun. I think Harry, FPL Taps, he's a Chelsea fan, he'll tell you himself. Chelsea fans are saying it's 1-0 to the Chelsea these days, and I think it's maybe starting to turn. So if you can just move to the next slide for me.
Yeah, which actually says defense instead of attack. So don't worry, that's where I've confused you all.
Right, no, that's okay. That's okay. I'll do maybe.
Quite normal. There's normally one cock up on the slides a week, and there's 2 this week. So there we go. It's normal.
But no extra charge for the second one.
No extra charge. So see, despite the uptick in form, Tuchel has basically been unbeaten in the Premier League since he took over Chelsea. The Chelsea attack has actually underperformed despite their unbeaten record. So since game week 20, Chelsea, while they rank per appearance, now I thought it was important they categorise this per appearance because Chelsea have played 2 games less than, say, Manchester City. So per appearance, they rank top for shots, but they've been quite wasteful. So they've only scored 33% of their big chances. So I think over the period, Chelsea had 21 big chances and they scored 7. I think over the period, Manchester City, although they played an extra 2 games, they had 35 big chances and they scored 20. So there's a fair disparity between A, the number of big chances that Manchester City are creating, and B, how clinical Man City are. There have been signs now in the last 4 games in all competitions that Chelsea are starting to click because they've won 3 of the last 4, 2-0. So maybe the 1-0 to the Chelsea is... It's maybe not going to happen this week. And I think if you just click to the next slide in terms of looking at the matchup. So I think the statistical matchup looks very favourable for Chelsea this week. So since Allardyce's appointment, he was appointed in game week 14. I think Ralph Hursley-Bullish got the sack. I couldn't even really believe it. Like, you know, I don't really know where West Brom are trying to pitch themselves as a side. You know, but like in all honesty, like they were always going to be battling relegation, and I thought Bullish was doing a good job. And I think they sacked him when they sacked him. I thought it was a disgrace. But anyway, since game week 14, West Brom, I've categorised them as impotent, really, because they rank worst in the league for shots on target with 39 shots. Again, their defence is particularly shaky. They rank worst for shots on target conceded, and they rank worst for both actual goals conceded and expected goals conceded. So I think in terms of that matchup, Chelsea will be licking their lips a wee bit. So now I'm going to have a more kind of player-specific focus now. And the reason I like touching Chelsea this week is what I was saying, because a lot of people are thinking about this game week 31 wildcard. They might decide this week they roll a dice and pick a player that they wouldn't pick in the long term. And I think a player that fits that category is Havertz. I know Gabe had touched on him there and the fact that he's playing false 9. And to be completely honest, like since he arrived from Leverkusen, he's had a fairly tough start to life in the Premier League. He seems to have struggled to adjust, although in fairness, I think early season, I think Lampard was playing him in the wrong position. I think Lampard kind of lumbered him with a lot of kind of defensive duties, and I think really, if you're going to see the best out of Havertz, you got to be playing him as a number 10. And I think now Tuchel's going a wee step forward, and he's playing him nearly as a 9.5, so he's kind of a wee bit number 10, a wee bit number 9. Earlier in the season, he had a touch of COVID as well, and he took a while to get over it. But we were looking at, say, the Chelsea's lack of conversion, so I'm saying they were only converting 33% of their big chances. And I think that Tuchel is looking at Havertz now as maybe his antidote for the fact that Chelsea have been quite wasteful in front of goal. So they have Giroud, they have Abraham. Werner doesn't even seem to rank in terms of striker because he seems to have been pushed like out to the left wing. I don't think that Tuchel's settled on either Abraham or Giroud as he's forward. So he's given Havertz a go in the last two, and I think it's been quite interesting that he's played out of position. It's not a new experience for Havertz to be playing a striker. Now, looking at my analysis for my piece for the Hub this week, looking at Leverkusen last year, they had injuries to their two main starting strikers, and Havertz was kind of deployed as like a utility forward. They talk about the Bundesliga being in two halves, and in the closing stage of the Bundesliga, Havertz scored 10 goals, and the majority of those goals came when he was playing as a centre forward. You have the data on the screen that I'm going to refer to now. Now, this is a very, very small data sample, but over the last two games, when we're looking specifically at midfielders, Havertz ranks joint top amongst midfielders for shots on target and joint second for shots in the box. Now, I think they provide a wee bit of context here as well. The game against Leeds was Havertz. It was his first start after he had the prolonged period out, so there was a wee bit of rust. The footage that Gabriel showed where he had the chance and he maybe took a touch that took him too wide, I think that was maybe a sign of the rust. There's a figure in my analysis from his Bundesliga period for the second half of the season where he scored 10 goals that he didn't actually miss a big chance, which I thought was just incredible stat. Like, if we're going to kind of reference back the breaking the template, going into this game week, his top 10k ownership was 0.09%. So I think his ownership is basically on the floor. And if we're looking at, say, West Brom, you would fancy Havertz to get the clean sheet point. He's also got the additional point of the goal with over, say, like a traditional striker, which appeals because he's playing out of position. So the chance at a goal kind of does Havertz for a double-digit haul, I think. If you just move to your next slide now for me, please, Marner. So I'm going to talk about Alonso now, and normally I would like completely frown upon tapping a defender as a punt, but Alonso just, I think inside Alonso's head, I don't think he thinks he's a forward. I don't think he thinks he's a left wing back. I think he thinks he's a striker. He was frozen out by Frank Lampard, and Tuchel's given him like a bit of a renaissance. But what I will say is his game time is completely split with Ben Chilwell, so they seem to be rotating. What I will say is he was rested prior to the international break. He's played no minutes over the international break because he's not in the Spain squad. Chilwell has played minutes for England and he has played minutes prior. And the general consensus in the community is that Alonso's going to play against them deep block sides. Just to look at his stats here, like if you're looking in terms of his underlying numbers since game week 21, just to look at how attacking he actually is, he ranks amongst defenders first for shots, so he has 13 shots, and he's 10 of those shots have come within the box. He's also created 3 bank chances, and he ranks second amongst defenders for touches on the box. But just to give a wee bit of kind of context to this, he's only played 478 minutes. Like if you look at Cancelo there, 669 minutes. If you look at Veltman, 702 minutes. Dunk, 810. Dallas, 900. He's played like 75%, in some cases nearly half those kind of minutes. And these are the numbers he can produce. So this is to say, like if we get a kind of gut feel that Alonso's going to start, his numbers nearly border on like attack and midfielder, in some cases striker level, like, you know. In terms of ownership, if I'm going to kind of refer back to me breaking the template, going into looking at the previous game week's top 10k numbers from live FPL, it was only on 0.36% of top 10k teams. Now, that's completely understandable because for his price, we don't really know if he's going to start. But again, if I'm referring to people that are going to play the wild card in game week 31, he's a real roll of dice one, because I think you could roll a dice on Alonso he could get you a 0 and not play. In which case, if you have the game week 31 wildcard, I don't think he's a safe pick. I think he maybe Pat Kamachi a wildcard a wee bit more than, say, like an Azpilicueta or like a Rudiger. But in terms of a punt, I'm not going to recommend those guys as a punt because they're kind of steady, safe defensive picks in my mind. If you want to just click on to my next slide here now, please, Marner. So we're going to talk about Mason Mount now, and he was like Frank Lampard's love child, really. Like, you know, there was this huge love on with Mason Mount with Frank Lampard, and people wondered, like, when Tuchel took over, was it going to be a case that the English guy was going to be put in the naughty step and pushed out to the side? And it hasn't been the case. Like, I'm kind of surprised. Like, when I went in and did my analysis in Chelsea, Mount is actually Chelsea's top point scorer this season, which I kind of thought was unbelievable. And he's posted some kind of respectable numbers, but they haven't been like earth-shattering. So since Tuchel's appointment, the Englishman, and that was in game week 20, the Englishman ranks amongst midfielders 7th for shots in 21, and he ranks 6th for key passes, 21. In his previous game this season against West Brom, he had a goal and assist, and he hauled 12 points. So, like, some FPL managers in the community, and I can be one to think like that. Sometimes I think that certain players, they have good memory of like playing a certain team, and you'll often see like Vardy might do well against Arsenal and stuff like that. You know, you'll often see them coming out and they'll haul against that team again. I think an interesting point is that against Southampton, Mount stepped up and took the penalty. Now, Jorginho, he has been taking the penalties when he's been on the pitch. Sometimes Jorginho's rotated. He is flagged at the minute from international duty, so it could maybe add to the short-term appeal on Mount. Now, whether that flag stands up or whether Jorginho goes on to miss out, that remains to be seen. But I think it adds to his potential appeal again. 3.8% ownership in the top 10K. Mount's got potential. If I'm being completely honest, I would have Havertz ahead of him. If you want to just hit the next slide now, and we're going to, it could be a contender for troll of the season, really. So we've got Timo. We've got
certainly for me. Yes, he was, first 5 game weeks. Thank you, Hibbo. Thanks for reminding me.
He was part of that Twitter template, and he was part of, like, I suppose, like all kind of fantasy message board templates early in the season. And he has endured a very mixed start compared to the numbers that he was putting up in Bundesliga. Like, he was comparable to Lewandowski in terms of some of his numbers, but he's had a very tough start to life. And I think that was summed up on the international break with his open goal miss against Macedonia. Just how kind of devoid of confidence Werner is at the minute. I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate as well here and just say, like, if I'm looking at these recent underlying numbers, I think they make for recent interesting reading when you analyse them over 90 minutes. So I feel that it was an important adjustment they make because Werner's started on the bench a couple of games and a few other teams have had an extra number of matches. So whenever I analysed Werner from like game week 24 and I'm looking solely at 90 minutes, he ranks second amongst now all players in the league for shots in the box and big chances. And he's second on that period only to the on-fire Kelechi Iheanacho. Now, those numbers have kind of been twisted in a certain way because we are looking at a certain period and we are looking at over 90 minutes. But I do think there's been an improvement on Werner. He has been wasteful. I'm not going to lie. He has been wasteful. And since like Tuchel's appointment game week 20, no player in the league has received more big chances than Timo Werner. So he's had 9 big chances. I'm going to caveat him a certain way and say I do think he's a flat track bully. If we look at his numbers, and I think this season he's got 5 goals and 8 total assists. Now I know a number of those are fantasy assists because he tends to get fouled for penalties a lot. All those returns, with the exception of the fantasy assist against Spurs, have come against sides outside of the traditional big 6. So he is definitely a flat trap bully. What I will say is Colin Hayes put a tweet out today. It was a quote from Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel has basically confirmed that Werner's going to start. So if you are like thinking I'm going to take a punt in Chelsea with a few day game week 31 wildcard, I know some people have concerns about, say, Havertz because he played a fair bit of time over the international break. Werner's going to start because of what Tuchel has said. So like just to conclude my piece, that's going to be me finishing up now. But like I'm going to say, like Chelsea do appeal to those both with and without a wild card, because like if you have a wild card, you can have a punt, and your punt can be a wee bit looser, and you could maybe go for an Alonso and a Havertz, and if they don't work out, you can just scrub the day clean. But I think at the same token, if we're looking at Chelsea's defensive numbers, we're looking at their fixture run over the next 5 game weeks. For me, I don't have a wild card, and I'm kind of looking at a defender, and I'm thinking maybe Rudiger. I think Rudiger at 4.7 million is insane value. I think there's going to be a chance that he's going to be rotated. But if you're looking at Rudiger 4.7, Azpilicueta 5.8, for me, without a wild card, I don't feel that I can punt Alonso. I feel that is kind of like a transfer waiting to happen, because like the minutes are completely split with Chilwell. If I was pushed on an attacker, I would still probably say Kai Havertz. I think looking at the structure of people's teams, and looking at, say, the forwards that have games this week, like you're looking at, say, Mikel Antonio, and I think people are talking about benching Mikel Antonio against Wolves. Some people, depend on how strong their front eight is, they maybe don't want to race Gundogan. They maybe, I think it's crazy talk. Bamford's got a great fixture. Kane's obviously got a great fixture. And when you're looking at Calvert-Lewin's got a great fixture, and we know Crystal Palace can't keep headers out. So like when you're taking all this into account, you're kind of trying to say, how do we fit Werner into that mix? It's hard to do when you consider how bad it's been this season. That's me wrapped up, boys.
Thanks, mate.
I have a question, like a follow-up question here on, because I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I got a DM from FPL Baker. We know Baker from our stereo chats. We met him there. And he's ranked he has triple-digit rank, the 700 in the world, 500 in the world, right around there. And 3 weeks ago, he mentioned Andreas Christensen to me. And nobody was talking about him. And then I was listening to the FPL Banger podcast, which for listeners, viewers, if you haven't, get on that podcast. It's one of my absolute favorites of the week. And Sam was talking about how Christensen's bonus points. So Christensen has started every game since game week 23, barring one. That's the game week 25 match against Sheffield United. And he has bonus points in 1, 2, 3 out of those. Let's see, 3 out of the 6 matches he's played, he has bonus points. He has 9, he has 8, he has 7. Whereas, and he costs 4.7, because Christensen makes those great kind of through balls from deep. Just he has that long vision. That's really good. Whereas Rudiger at the same price, 4.7, he doesn't get bonus points, and they're probably somewhat equally nailed. Is Christensen so the question is, and this is something that Sam brought up on the Banger podcast, and he said that if he were on wildcard, he would go Christensen instead of Rudiger. And I thought that was a really interesting and fresh take. And I'm starting to agree with it. I've had Tony Rudiger since game week 25. And looking at it now, if I were to double up, I think Rudiger and Christensen could be a nice double up.
I mean, I did listen to that, and he's a player that I've never considered. Never even gone there. I've never even thought. I'll tell you, my perspective is I'm in the Dave camp. I'm in the Dave Azpilicueta camp at the moment. I think I don't have a wild card. I will be going on to a Chelsea defender for sure. And I thought that Azpilicueta also, I think maybe he's a little bit better on bonus points than Rudiger. I don't think Rudiger's very good at bonus points at all. No. From my perspective. So I was looking at Azpilicueta, but well, why not? I think the issue is how nailed are they? And I think Tuchel's being spoken to say, so I don't know whether we're going to start to see some rotation on that as well. It sounds like Gabe's got someone drilling in the house now. Just one more thing.
I actually do. There's construction here.
This is fucking unbelievable.
I'm moving houses, and then there's like boxes and people repairing things. So they started jackhammering outside. So apologies.
I've been attacked by the cat. Hibbo's gone into freeze mode, disappeared. Now we've got someone drilling.
He's put himself on mute there, so it's not so bad.
Can he go out and tell him to piss off? Gabe, just keep yourself muted. I'm going to carry on just for a minute, and then we'll bring you back in. Yeah. All right. So let's carry on, mate. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the next slide up, and it's Soucek Watch, and for potato salad lovers everywhere as usual. And what we're going to do, as always, is we're going to have a look at the metric for headers. And the first things first, let's look how we did last week. Well, we got a return from dunk, but not a header. Gabe, you went for toes in. Not a lot of good. And I think Nima couldn't even think of anybody. Anyway, there we go. This week, interesting matchups for headers. Spurs against Newcastle. Everton against Palace. Surprise, surprise. Liverpool against Arsenal. Wolves against West Ham. And West Ham against Wolves. So both of those teams have a chance for a header chat. But Spurs Newcastle is the best matchup out of them all. But who are we going to go for this week? Well, I am going to pick Calvert-Lewin. I think, given that I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. Personally, I just have a funny feeling that Calvert-Lewin is going to get one this week. Could have been Kane, but I thought it was a bit boring, so I thought I'll go for Calvert-Lewin as my person who I think is going to score a goal with a header. Hibbo, have you got any? It's a bit of fun this, but who would you? Have you got anyone in the back of your mind who you think might pop up and bury a header?
I'll stay in the same fixture here, but I'll say Yerry Mina.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite nice. Gabe, have you still got noise?
Still got it's intermittent, so I'll try to slip it in here when the noise goes down a little bit. I can't get past Calvert-Lewin. I tried. It's just like it's just too obvious. So I'm going with you on Calvert-Lewin.
It could be it could be a day for a Lucas. Oh, there we go. It could be a day for a Dean owner. We'll say Harry on FPL tips. As a Dean owner, he's hoping for an assist. Well, I think it'll be very nice. I don't own Calvert-Lewin, so I'm a bit worried about it. Gabe, it's the Little Prince pick. Is there too much noise there? It's you. Do you want me to do it?
I was about to move, but I think I can do it really quick. Little Prince pick it. So loud. Go, you do.
I can't believe it.
The
Little Prince pick of the week. Can you see who it is, everybody? I want a guess. Who do you think it is? You can just see his eyes pointing out from behind that crown. Who do you think it is? Oh, come on. There's no one commented in. Look at that. I'm going to give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See if anyone gets. No one has. Here we go. Diego Jota. Hibbo. Jota's in form, right? He come back out of the international break looking very good. He scored before he went on the international break. This is what Klopp's saying. He's obviously in a good moment.
They always say this. These foreign managers always say a good moment, don't they?
Yeah, I don't understand. Why don't you just say, yeah, he's playing all right? You know.
It's basically the same thing, but it sounds kind of fancy.
Yeah, but what do you think? Do you think Jota? Do you think he can do something against Arsenal?
I don't think Arsenal were particularly good at the back against. Well, I suppose it was a tale of two halves against West Ham. I thought first half they were an abomination. I know I like to say abomination, but they weren't great. Now, I like Jota's fixtures more from game week 31 on, if I'm being totally honest with you. Like, I don't know. Like, if I had to pick something a wee bit more outside the box this week, I don't know if it would be my pick for that. But I think he's going to be a great pick, and I think a lot of people are maybe going to move towards maybe a Salah Jota double up or a Trent Jota double up, something like that for the run on from game week 31, which is entirely back in the fixtures, not really back in the form. But I think that's the benefit of people in the wild card, like, I suppose.
Well,
one thing that like the kind of the main impetus here for going with Jota is one, his form. He's come back and he's just incredible form. I think he scored 4 goals in his last 3 matches for club and country. Secondly, when I did my kind of matchup analysis on West Ham Arsenal, I predicted goals in that match because of how they both concede through the middle. Now, I kind of see the same thing in this match. I predict goals here. I don't think, obviously Liverpool's defense is struggling with all the injuries, and if especially, and I do expect Jota to play through the middle. I just see, if talking about like, also breaking the template, kind of hearkening to Hibbo's writing, I think Jota is a great way to break the template this week, because it seems like it could be a tricky matchup, but I see it playing out similarly to the West Ham game. So he might be my captain this week. I'm undecided on captain, but I may go with Jota, maybe.
That's brave.
What do I have to lose? I'm 350k.
I do like him though. I think he fits into our skinny mid scenario, Gabe. We've been on about it for a while, haven't we? Everyone, we like our skinny mids, and I think he could be it could even be a Gundogan replacement, perhaps, going forwards. I'm not sure. Maybe you might want to keep him, but certainly I like the look of Jota, and I think maybe a double up with Salah might be on the cards as well. Okay, so that's that bit. Now let's quickly move on to the captaincy. A bit mindful of time. So last week, how did we do? Well, the community poll got it right, Kane. The metric got it right with Rafinha. The CatPick, idiot, got it completely wrong. He's just sat on my feet now. Aubameyang. And the differential, Dunk, as well, returned. So 3 out of 4. We still, I don't think, have had a 4 out of 4, actually. I think we've always missed one somewhere. But yeah, not too bad. So let's now move to the metric, the Mariner. And the metric is continuing, apart from a little blip in game week 26. It's returned every week since game week 19 now. So the metric's running at a 79% hit rate now, at 16.3 points a week. So it's now projected to get 621 points. And its only blanks this season have been 3 with Bruno and 2 with Salah and 1 with Vardy. That's it. That's its only blanks. As for me, it's a different story, I'm afraid, because I don't always follow it. 66% hit rate for me. I'm looking at 14.5 average and projected 550 points, which is still a moral victory for me compared to last year's crap. But yeah, hey, still missing out. And my blanks, and I think it's well worth talking about my blanks here. 5 Salah blanks I've had this season. Maybe you just don't learn, eh? 2 KD.
Last season was a hashtag always Captain Salah. This season, look at that. It's quite the opposite.
5
right?
Salah blanks, right? So yeah, so I think it's just one of those. It's one of those ones where you wouldn't have expected. I think the metric is sometimes a little bit behind. It takes, especially if someone's coming back from injury, it takes a while for them to pick up. But yeah, well, it's doing well enough. And I mean, we really should start comparing this metric against the other metrics out there. And there's even been discussions this week about a new metric. Someone's been trying to devise a metric on Twitter and asking everybody for advice. So yeah, maybe there'll be a few more next year to consider as well. So anyway, let's keep going. And the next one is the poll for this week. And this is where we'll whiz through the CatPick and then get on to the captain metric, which I think is the thing which people are very keen to see. Well, the poll basically has Kane top 63%. That is pretty similar, I think, to last week. I think it was quite high there as well. 63%. Now we gave everybody a choice of City. They picked KDB out. We give them a choice of Leeds. They picked Rafinha out, and we give them a choice of Chelsea, and they picked Alonso. But in second place, it was Rafinha with 20%. KDB and Alonso equal third at 9% in this poll. So Kane by a country mile, boys. What do you think? Do you think that's expected?
Yeah, completely. Newcastle are awful.
Yeah. Straight to the point. Straight to the point. Well, let's see who the cat picked then, because we gave him a choice of Kane and Rafinha. So it's only a short one today because I think he was hungry again. So let's quickly go to that. There we go. Bloody hell. Rafinha. So the cat's gone for Rafinha, and now he's decided to join me on stage. The cat is now about to jump on the table, so you might see him in a second.
He knew it was his slot. He knew it was his slot.
He's here. He's just sat looking at me now. He nearly knocked my wine glass over. I've just had to move it. But oh God, I don't know. Right, boys. I can't believe we're so long into this pod. It's crazy. Captaincy metric. So, just to clarify here, the metric will not account for anyone who has been benched for more than 30% of playing time in the last 6 game weeks. That is an important point here today. So, right, let's put it up and let's see who is going to be. And hopefully it should automatically come on. Or is it going to? I'd have to click it again. Stupid thing. Here we go. Rafinha is top of the captain metric. He was top last week as well, to be fair. Let's quickly just look at this. Rafinha this week has a metric of 80. Last week he had 73. So this is a better matchup. Bamford 79 second, Mahrez third with 79. Mahrez is the only Manchester City asset making it on the metric. And he has been rotated 27.5% of the last 6 game weeks. So he's barely making it as well. So City, I think that just sums up where we are with City, right? You know, these expensive assets, which we would be looking at captaining, we don't know. And the metric's saying it. It's actually saying we're not sure about this. Just to give you the other second and third last week, Bale and Bamford, 71 each. So these are better matchups for all 3 of these players compared to last week. Looking at Rafinha himself, fixture, good, 115, green, nicely green. Form, 5.77 points in the last 90, per 90, sorry, of the last 6. 1 occasion of 2+ returns in the last 12. 7 occasions of 1 return in the last 12. He's owned by, I think, 16% at the time of when I actually ran the metric. So he's a bit of it looks like a bit of a sword pick potentially from my side. And he was rested in the international break. And I think, Gabe, you mentioned there was a tweet out, which I think we should give it a shout out at this point about the international break, wasn't there? Who was that from again?
That was the, it's really loud here right now, so.
Oh, God. Do you put it in the comments? Put it in the comments.
It was the tweet. Put it in the Twitter. The tweet was a guy called Jose Costa. He posted on the FPLZ.
Yeah.
And it was a great tweet that basically rounded up like all kind of major players, minutes, outputs, goals, and assists over the international break. So yeah. I think I got about 400, 500 likes, something like that. You know, it was very good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, just looking at the other 2, then Bamford, same fixture, of course, slightly worse form, but does have more hauls, which is noticeable. But he has blanked more. He was flagged. He's not flagged now. But owned by 48%. All right. So and then Mahrez third. Fixture slightly worse than the Leeds matchup wise. Form slightly less, 5.64. But again has similar numbers. Two occasions of the last 12 of more than 2 returns, and 6 of 1, owned by 7.3. Mahrez, it's just the Pep roulette, isn't it? It's just the Pep roulette with all this. This is the problem. And I just want to mention this as well. Harry Kane is 7th.
That's what I wanted to mention really quickly before they start jackhammering here.
Yeah, he's 6th. I've just realised I removed Cresswell because Cresswell was above him as well. I think this Spurs. I mean, I know Hibbo, you mentioned that they've had a couple of big wins, but I think the numbers don't. For some reason, the numbers are not picking it. And I'll tell you what else is not picking it. If you look, his actual returns, his expected points are actually not that high either. But you can't ignore this fixture, and I think the fixture, for some reason, like saying my metric, doesn't have that fixture very favourable.
Who are you going with? Who are you picking?
At this moment, my captaincy is on Kane.
Same. I'm going Kane as well. No brainer. I haven't even considered anybody else. If I'm being totally honest.
No, to be fair, I have considered Rafinha, and I have considered Bamford, but I think I'm thinking that sometimes it's a time where you just don't overthink too much. And as much as I'm a strong believer in numbers and stats, I'm also looking at it from the perspective of my positioning, my rank as well. So I'm thinking that probably Kane's a better option for me.
So speaking of kind of things that aren't represented here, though, one reason I'm worried about Rafinha a little bit is because I think he gets like 35% of his returns at home, or 30% or something like that. It's quite a low number. And then you think about that pitch, and it's a cause for concern. So I could see why, I think Kane is the obvious one, but the fact that Kane is so low on this metric, for me, it screams opportunity. It screams opportunity to swerve and go in a different direction. I find it really interesting that Mahrez is there. I think Mahrez is a great differential shout if you want to go in a different way other than Gundogan from City.
Yeah, Mahrez only played 90 minutes. I've got this from that tweet. So he played 90 minutes in one. He was rested in one of the international games and played 90 minutes in the other one. So, I mean, yeah, Mahrez could be quite interesting.
If I was trying to pick a punt out of these options, I'm not going to pick some kind of crazy punt that has like 0% ownership. But if I was punting out of these options here, you know what I'm going to say already. I would go for Son. I think Newcastle are fairly weak on the right hand side, and I think Son could make hay. I really do fancy this matchup, and I do think Son could go big this week, and I do think Kane could go big. But if I was going to try and rail against like big EO and stuff like that, I think Son's got legs. Your metric is basically saying you don't rate Kane that highly, so like maybe that as a sign that people could potentially go against the big EO pick this week.
I think it is a week where you perhaps could oppose him. I just think it's like anything. I think the Leeds side of things, Bamford, there's Sheffield United are so bad. Newcastle are also so bad. If there's an early goal, it could be either one of these could be an absolute. It could be carnage. Is my view. We just got to work out, as we say, Hibbo, which horse to back sort of thing, really.
I think it's kind of significant for Newcastle in the last match. I think they lost Hayden through injury, and we don't really consider Hayden because he's not much of a fantasy player, but I think he's been important for Newcastle in terms of their midfield. I think there'll be a worse side without him as well. He's one of the few that'll put on a tackle and put the foot in. And I just think against Brighton, Newcastle they completed so few chances, so few passes. I don't even actually think they had a shot on target the whole game. They were disgraced, really.
Well, yeah, but that's a great point about Hayden. Actually, really, really good point about Hayden. And I think another feather in the cap for Kane if Hayden is out in that middle position, he can drop and receive. But That's a great point.
Okay, all right. So anyway, so then with the metrics gone with Rafinha, then Bamford, then Mahrez. Kane's a bit further down. Even Lingard and Antonio have better matchups. Well, which we mentioned that earlier, didn't we? We thought the West Ham matchup was actually quite reasonable. But anyway, let's see how it goes. As I say, it's been doing quite well. So let's see if it does it again. The captain differential. Well, I've picked that this week. And I've gone with Azpilicueta. I just think that, I don't know, he might think it's a bit boring, but he does have a bit of attacking involvement. Not a lot. He scored one, hasn't he, since he came back in? Since Tuchel, I'm sure he scored since Tuchel joined. I just think he could be a worthy shout. He also gets a few bonus points. What do you reckon, boys? Who would you go if you were going to pick a real differential? Yeah, I think, Gabe, you'd probably go Jota, wouldn't you? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the differential pick would be Jota. He's a consideration for me. I haven't decided yet, but that would be my differential pick.
Differential pick quickly. I'll say Alonso.
Right. Fair enough. No, good. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm also thinking of bringing this guy in anyway. So there's the summary. So we've got Kane, Community, Metric Rafinha, CatPick Rafinha, Differential Azpilicueta. We are so late onto the questions, and I think I don't know what we're gonna do with these boys. What do you want to do? Do you want to take 2 or 3 and then get out of here, or are we all right for a few minutes? What's your views?
Do a couple of quick ones, will we?
All right.
Yeah, a couple quick ones. We did do the Q&A earlier in the week, so I think we've answered a lot of questions this week. But let's just keep it. I think let's keep it under 2 hours, fellas.
No, absolutely. We'll just do 2 or 3. We'll just do 2 or 3. So okay, let's see if I can find some. So there's a Chelsea question. Let's go for that one. There's one for you, Hibbo. 10:32. So, are we Tuchel's comments about trying to keep a squad fresh, even the centre backs? Are we worried about rotation, boys, with Chelsea now? Given that he's been commenting, I think Thiago's back, isn't he?
I think it depends who you go for. Like I know Gabe was backing up Christensen. Now I do think that if Thiago comes back, I do think Christensen could be the one that suffers. He has done well. I think they're all potentially rotation risks. I think all Chelsea players are rotation risks, but that's kind of why you may draw us towards Rudiger, because if he misses out, he's not going to break my heart. Do you know?
Yeah. It's almost why I'm thinking about Azpilicueta, because I've just got it into my head that he's just probably more nailed than others, but I might be wrong.
No, I think you're right. I think he's probably the most nailed, to be honest.
Yeah.
But is he gonna? He's nailed, but he's not a spring chicken either. He's playing every single game, and is he gonna break down? Is he going to be rotated out of necessity? I think so. I think he's working at Azpilicueta. There it is. Had to get one in there. There was no.
1 hour 48, and this is the first Spanish-sounding name we've actually got to where you've actually said it. Oh, that noise! I can't believe it. I'd be going out there with my baseball bat and going and having a quiet word.
I wrote all matchups with this in my head.
Oh my God!
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think I want to start drinking and like by 10 a.m.
I believe it. What bloody shambles is that? What could go wrong has gone wrong tonight. Anyway, who cares? Next question. Do you just nod, Gabe, or answer in the comments, or something like that? Next question. Abhilash is asking thoughts on how Leicester might set up. Maddison looking likely to return this week. I mean, my immediate thought, Hibbo, is Brodge going to tread carefully with him? I think he might well do for a short period. I'm not that worried about players, how it might change things immediately. What about you?
They've been going well. Madison, I think I've seen Madison come back from injury and him being the bench. Maybe the first game they start. Aniacho's in good form. Like I know maybe what people are trying to get at here is like, how much more irritation risk is it whenever, say, Barnes comes back and Madison comes back. And I do think it could be true, but like Aniacho holders this week, I think he definitely plays Man City, given the history and the fact that he used to play for Man City. He scored a hat-trick last week. You can't drop him this week. Going forward, it could be a rotation risk. And I do think that there could be a case of, I know loads of people are looking at wildcard drafts at the minute and they're saying Aniacho, and you could get 2 weeks down the line, they might not be in the team. I don't know. I'm not sold on him.
I mean, there is a wild card question here, and I'm going to put it on the screen, but it's quite a big one. So I think, just generally speaking, wild carding in 33. Has anyone, if you were wild carding in 33, you'd keep a City and a Spurs player on the bench, bring 2 more of them for the next one, 4 Man City and 3, and Spurs is good for the 34. I mean, is there a good? It's so team specific, isn't it? Of course. So these are very difficult questions to answer. Well, FPL General's wildcarded this week. Some people are looking at wildcarding next week. Some people are looking at wildcarding next week. Any particular idea on wild? I mean, obviously, if you're wildcarding 33, Spurs and City don't play, but it's going to see you through to the end of the season, isn't it?
Like I think Spurs have a good fixture before 33, and I think in 32 they've got a nice match. They have a double game week actually in 32, and then
they've got a double game week in 32, and then I think they've got a very nice fixture on the other side as well.
Sheffield United maybe in game week 30 and game week 34, and they blank on 33. Yeah. So which kind of leads me to think, like, if you were kind of building up towards a double game week in 32, you're going to have a couple of Spurs players. Why would you wildcard in 33 to buy them back from -4? Just doesn't really seem mad logical to me.
Yeah. Gabe, is it still too noisy there?
I get moments like this, but then it's about to start again.
All right, here we go. Here's another question.
Actually, just to comment really quickly, I like that idea of wild carding in 33 and getting like a mix of players for that week and a mix of players going forward. That's interesting.
Okay. So, Rajveer, second question: should we stay away from? Well, he's basically saying teams that are on the beach. Are we going to see? We had a bit of a chat about beach questions, didn't we, on Tuesday?
Yeah. Where I stand on the beach, I'm just going to be fairly quick on this because I'm conscious of time. But where I stand with the whole kind of beach thing is just start watching games, start watching highlights. Like, you're going to see from your eye test who's slacking off and who's not. Because I know that we had a question for the last Q&A where people are saying, which teams are going to be on the beach, and I think it's too early to tell until you're actually watching the games. And I think when you're watching the games, you'll see who's maybe not putting it on anymore. And that's the only advice I would give people. Watch your matches and just kind of pick up on it yourself. Like, you'll see in the community, people will start talking and say Burnley are gone or such and such. You'll notice. But I kind of think there's another factor with the beach, and the fact that I kind of thought about this since the last week. And like, once the pressure's off, you might kind of see some games that are nearly like an exhibition, because I know when we go on the last game week of the season, you see sometimes a team getting bit maybe 7-1 because there's no pressure on. And like, the team winning maybe has nothing to play for, and the team losing maybe has nothing to play for. Like, and you might see like some huge scoreline. Like, I think last game week of the season is usually very high scoring.
Yeah, good point. So there's a couple of other questions, but I think what we'll do is we'll just try and wrap up. We'll just do a couple of very, very fast pretty much single answers just to finish. So, okay, Cancelo to Alonso or Gundogan to Rafinha?
Alonso.
Gabe? Yeah. Okay.
Alonso.
Dunk, Stones or Konsa to Alonso? Which one?
Pre-wildcard 31.
Pre-wildcard 31. Dunk, Stones or Konsa to Alonso?
It depends how much value he has tied up on them, and which of them he maybe wants to keep long term. So if he's like kind of thinking on his wildcard that he would keep Stones long term, well, I wouldn't take stones out this week if you've got value tied up in them.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think Konza just based on the metric.
Okay.
Villa defense not so good.
Okay, and the last question today, and I'm sorry if we've not got to you all because we've run over a little bit. We've had some technical difficulties as well. Jota versus Lingard versus Maddison versus Gundogan. Pick two till the end of the season. Jota, Lingard, Maddison, Gundo.
Jota and Lingard for me.
Jota and Lingard.
Jota and Lingard. Yeah, I think this is 100. I think this is 100%. And a second question here. In addition, worth bringing back Bruno? Question mark. Okay.
Yes, I mean for sure. Bruno's not done. His season is not over. But I don't think there's any rush.
I think this Brighton fixture it just stinks of Man United 1-0, 86 minutes, Bruno pen. You know, this is kind of weird.
But
remember the first one where Bruno got that pen in the 92nd minute or something like that.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Well, my evil nature has gone for a 1-0 Brighton win.
Nice, I like it.
Hopefully it works out.
Well, you know, I'm not so sure, but I've certainly had the matchup. I thought, no, do you know what? If matchup says what it's saying, I'm going to go for it anyway. And there's just a last question saying, well, actually not a question, but a comment from Aidan actually saying it would be great to see a wildcard draft from us all for next week. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do next week. We've got Surya coming on from All About FPL, who is actually playing his wildcard. So hopefully we'll be able to run through his wildcard, and so Gabe and I will have a little bit of a think as well. We'll certainly have some critique of that. So, right, guys, I think it's been a long one. It's been one of those. It's been one of those ones where, quite frankly, just about what could go wrong has gone wrong, right? But anyway,
we were shooting for 1 hour. You got 2.
We were shooting for 1, and we've ended up with 2. Guys, I mean, look, I just very, very quickly, let's get out of here before 2 hours. I need to be under 2 hours when I hit that stop broadcast button.
I got to jump on a call too in 2 minutes.
Hibbo, thank you, my friend. As again, delighted that you're joining the show. Sorry you've had some technical problems. Sorry that we've had some technical problems. But anyway, it's still been great having you on.
Thanks very much. It's great to always be on. So
no problem. And Gabe, thanks as always, mate. And now you can go outside and give some grief to that bastard who's ruined. It's been ruined.
He's fixing my house, so it's kind of hard.
Oh, is it? He could have bloody come later. You could tell him you're doing a bloody podcast, for goodness sake.
No, there's a lot of work to be done. We got to get this thing sold.
All right.
I just want to thank everyone that joined us in the chat. I saw Harry in there. I saw Fantasy Football Hub in there. And great questions as always.
It's lovely to see people in there, and you know, hopefully people have enjoyed it. Very, very quickly, Gabe, your articles on All About FPL as usual. Hibbo, you're breaking the templates on Fantasy Football Hub. My stuff's all over Twitter and Instagram. Everything will be up there. The pod. This will also be a pod if you want to listen for 2 hours. My God, listen to drills and things like that. Help yourself. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. But apart from that, what else can I say? I just want to wish you all the very, very best for game week 30? 30? Is it 30? Yeah, it's 30, isn't it? And let's hope that you net that haul. So all the best, everybody, and take care. Bye-bye.